you are the leader of the government, okay, for a week, and you're in charge of the budget, okay? Doling out all the money to everyone. Yep. What would be the biggest priority for you? Who would you give the money to?
He tangata.
All the children and families that don't have much.
Better housing.
Housing New Zealand and helping the homeless.
I'd spend it on education and what would you spend it on, Alex?
I don't know, more skate parks, and I'd try and make weed legal probably.
Just reduce the tax on cigarettes and alcohol, I'd say. Yeah.
Reduce the tax on cigarettes and alcohol.
Closey.
Clothes?
Yep.
Family.
Houses for families. So where do you live now?
Outside God's green earth.
What, out here?
Yeah, why not?
To kids in Africa, no.
And the homeless people.
How long have you been waiting?
Since June last year.
I'm come from India. There's a lot of problems there. From comparison to here, is all good here.
So are you guys going to be MPs in the future? Will you guys go to Parliament?
Maybe.
I reckon you did a pretty good job.
Thanks.
I think that'd be great parliamentarians, wouldn't you, Damien?
I would love to see Bill English tomorrow going, so yeah, we're going to give it to the kids in Africa and that.
Skate parks, all that sort of thing. And I want your feedback on Twitter, @BackbenchersTV. If you were in charge of the budget, what would you spend it on? The big thing, that person there that I was talking to, he was actually homeless. He had no home to go to, okay? So he said there was a major housing crisis. But I want to ask Judith Collins first. Judith, is there a housing crisis in New Zealand?
In parts of New Zealand, there's a shortage of supply, and that's...
Is there a housing crisis?
I'm not going to be defined by you, Wallace, on this one. It's about, in Auckland,
I'm asking a question,
there's not enough houses for people who want to live there. And that's actually, it's just not enough supply. But if you go to Invercargill, there's plenty of houses.
All right, okay. What do you make of what Judith said?
Well, I mean, no, she's wrong. I mean, she lives in Auckland. She doesn't live in the regions like Stuart and I do. In the regions, housing is still a problem. There's still a real need for state housing, for affordable housing, even in the regions, and jobs, like Stuart was saying. So, I mean, Judith has got her view, but it's a very Auckland-centric one. Auckland, there is a housing crisis. Around the rest of the country, there is a serious housing shortage of affordable housing. And it needs to be dealt with by government because it's the only agency big enough to be able to engage with that market.
How many houses do you own?
I own one house and one castle.
Yeah.
Two.
There you go.
Two.
So
one house and one castle.
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
right. Yeah, that's
Judith,
right.
what about you? How many houses do you own?
Ooh.
4, exactly. What about you, Peter? How many houses do you own?
I've got one house and a holiday home.
All right. What about you, Stuart Nash? How many houses do you own?
Well, the bank owns the vast majority of my house.
Oh,
but
come on!
Come on, how many houses?
Well, I own one house and I own some flats.
He owns a whole apartment block.
Hey, Wallace, how many houses do you own?
In Napier.
Well, I'm not part of the conversation. I'm not part of the conversation. Am I? Do I need to?
I know, I just saw you at the airport today and he said, I've just bought another house. I know, I'm just saying, you know, I've got one. It seems like plenty.
I'll tweet what I own.
Look, I mean, the government is selling off state housing in the regions, in Invercargill in particular. There is still a huge demand for the need for state housing, for affordable housing. You can't just keep denying that there's a crisis, because there is one, and people are suffering it every day.
But a lot of those houses we're talking about are uninsulated, they're not well looked after these days, they're 60 years old. We need to have, but they're not configured for the way that modern families are. They're 3 bedrooms, and actually they're not always right for the people who want to live in them.
Housing
and so we need to have modern
So what are you trying to say?
Right for people.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say this is that we
She's
have
run them
houses
down.
in places
That's what
where
she's
there
trying to say.
shouldn't be. We have not enough houses where there should be, and we have houses that are configured the wrong way for families.
So you know
and
what
we
we're
need
gonna
to
do?
actually produce stuff.
You know what we're going to do?
Now, I'm with Jeff Simmons. He's a Morgan Foundation General Manager and Economist. Welcome.
Kia ora, Damien.
Thanks for coming along. Auckland, is it a bubble?
Yes. House prices are totally out of whack with rents, so it can't just be a supply issue. There's speculation going on too, that's for certain.
Do you think we need to burst the bubble?
Well, bubble bursts, mate. I mean, and it hurts when they do. So it's just a matter of when do you want to rip the Band-Aid off. I'd say the sooner the better. But the real issue with having a bubble is that it's sucking resources from the rest of the economy, you know. So money's going into housing and land that we could be using way more productively. We're just bidding up the prices of housing and land off each other. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, what about the government's new policy? The government's new policy is if you own a house for less than 2 years, you get taxed when you sell it. Do you think that's going to work?
Well, it's a nice little bit of tinkering. I mean, it's kind of a watered down version of the watered down Labour and Greens, capital gains tax, which was already watered down. I mean, if it was a spirit at the bar, you'd want to hand it back pretty much. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. It's certainly not going to get you intoxicated.
I like an economist who talks in alcohol metaphors. I can work with this. Okay, then very quickly, what's your solution? I mean, we've heard for a long time people saying, well, that's no silver bullet, that's no silver bullet, usually often the government about proposals from Labour and the Greens. Is there a silver bullet? What can we do?
Well, if we close all the tax loopholes around the income that people get from their assets, including housing and land, then we'd have enough money to give everyone an unconditional basic income. I mean, it's definitely something that can be done, and that would neutralise the bubble pretty instantaneously.
Is this happening anywhere in the world, or is this just one of these things that Gareth Morgan comes off with when he's spending 6 months in Antarctica or whatever?
Fair question. There are levels of this tax that exist in different parts of the world, and the OECD has shown that the bigger... See, people want to own their own home, right? And people are passionate about that. The bigger the tax subsidy there is to housing, which New Zealand is right up the top end, right, in terms of the loopholes around housing and land, the bigger the loopholes around housing and land, the lower house ownership rates are, and the greater inequality is, because housing is the biggest driver of inequality in the world at the moment.